I was a first year resident at the end of a 2-day weekend duty and was exhausted. I had not slept or eaten in a long time. Very late that night, I get a call from casualty, a case of multiple polytrauma fractures. I dragged myself there and found this 20-something person with a twisted thigh and leg, which was obviously a multiple fracture. He was in pain, but what was surprising was that he was absolutely alert and cooperative. The only thing abnormal apart from the fractures was that his heart rate was a little high, and I think it was obviously because of his pain. As the patient was being shifted on the trolley, he became irritable and restless. I quickly connected the pulse oximeter and looked for his pulse. Although his pulse was still very high, his oxygen saturation was dropping dangerously low. Was he bleeding somewhere? Did I miss something? Externally, everything seemed to be fine apart from the fracture. His pelvis was fine. There was no active bleeding. Could he have been bleeding internally? So I immediately put him on an oxygen mask and requested for an EFAST. Surprisingly, that also came out normal. I was puzzled, and all the while, his saturation kept on falling, and now he wasn't even responding. Out of nowhere, it struck me. Yeah, this is fat embolism syndrome. Nothing else. I've ruled out every other possibility. That is the only diagnosis left, and that is exactly what it was. So without hesitation, I immediately intubated the patient and secured the airway. Thankfully, the patient survived and recovered after a few days in the ICU. Later, when I was relaxed, I was reflecting on the whole experience. I was very impressed. I was impressed not by myself, but by my teacher, because even though I have read this multiple times in many books, it was what my teacher taught me that I remembered when it mattered. Because even in the chaos of the emergency room when everything was falling apart, I remembered his words. His words echoed in my mind. This whole experience of using my basic knowledge to save a life inspired me to be a better clinician and a teacher. When we study for an exam, it often feels like a race to cover the syllabus. The sheer volume of the content is enormous and overwhelming, and we are so focused on scoring marks and passing the exam that it just gets very boring. But when we shift our focus from just passing exams to actually treating patients and saving lives, a beautiful transformation happens. Suddenly, we are no longer satisfied just by scratching the surface of the knowledge. We are eager to learn more. We are curious because we want to help them. With this mindset, I have crafted the latest edition of Marrow. Moving from Marrow edition 6.5 to 8 was an intentional decision because the kind of quality that is improved warranted a bigger number improvement than just a 0.5 change.